guys, it's Jen, and I'm back after a very long break. I was in Virginia seeing in-laws, so sorry if I've been away for a while. But anyway, today's video, I'm going to talk about something that I get a lot of questions about from, Tumblr or, people that I just meet and I tell them about my experiences abroad. The question is, what's it like to be a black woman in Japan or Korea? So I'm going to talk about that today. Being black in Asia is just a really different experience than being like black in, say, like the Western world, like in North America or in the UK or something like that. It's really kind of different. A lot of people, like for instance, when I first, my very first day teaching, I was in like a rural coastal town in Japan, and a lot of students and a lot of grown adult Japanese people had never seen like a black person in real life. Like outside of TV, they've never even encountered a black person in real life. I've had a lot of people touch my hair, a lot of people touch my skin, but it was never out of malice, you know what I mean? Like people weren't mean about it, they're just curious. If not a little bit ignorant. They shouldn't do that, but still you could tell it was not out of a place of ill intent. People just were really curious about me. And my very first day of teaching, I had a student, I was at a junior high school, and I had a student come up to me and smell my skin and go oh, chocolate, and run away. And I was shocked. I was expecting some reaction, but not like that, you know what I mean? Other people were really nice about it. When I first came to Japan as a study abroad student, an exchange student, I stayed with a host family, a Japanese host family in Tokyo, and they had 4 small girls, and the youngest one loved my skin. She would just rub it and just go oh, suru suru, which means silky, it was smooth. And she just loved everything about it. My skin, she really liked the texture of my hair. I wasn't natural at that time, but she still found my hair really, really interesting. When I went to Japan the second time to teach, I was transitioning into being natural. And when I finally cut out the relaxed ends and all that, people were just oh, did you get a perm? That's the #1 question I got in Japan and Korea about my hair, was if it was permed. Because apparently curly hair means it's been permed. And I would have to tell them no, this is how it grows out of my head. And people were just what? They just didn't get it. So it was interesting to have to talk to them about that and teach them about that. And about my skin. My students in Japan were, they were really interested about, where I came from and all that stuff. And I would ask them, the very first month I was there, I would just kind of quiz them to see, what they thought. And I was just where do you think I'm from? And I think 90% of the answers were Africa. And then other places, it was either Africa or Brazil. Japan has a large, a very long history with Brazil. And they think foreign people, they think white people are from America. And black people, like me, are either from Africa or apparently Brazil. So I got a lot of Africa, Brazil, and a little bit of India. I don't know. I don't see how they got India. I guess because I'm really dark, so they figured dark people also come from Southeast Asia. So that was in Japan, either Africa, Brazil, or India. So with Korea and my students, they were a bit, I don't know, maybe more used to seeing black people. Again, a lot of people haven't encountered them in real life, but I feel Korea was a bit more internationally savvy, I guess. I don't know. When I spoke to my kids in Korea, and I asked them the same questions, where do you think I'm from? A lot of the answers were America. A lot of them said America, and a very small percentage said Africa. And both Korea and Japan, they all think Africa is a country. I don't, because they'll say Africa. I'm okay, where in Africa? And they're just Africa. I don't know. For some reason, everyone believes that Africa, the continent of Africa, is a country. It's just Africa. But yeah, a lot of the answers were USA, Africa, and I forget, I think like a few kids said Brazil, but a large majority in Korea thought I was from America, which I found really interesting. But yeah, overall, my students were fine with me being black. They were fine. A few times there were some things that they would say that I would have to like stop them on and be like, whoa, that's not okay. In Korea especially, my kids were really interested in like the contrast of colors between like the palms of my hands and like the back. They're just like, why are they different colors? They couldn't get it. But I would like show them, and a lot of times there was a lot of touching, a lot of hair touching. Actually, one story, I was out with my co-teacher in Korea. We were going to like get a copy of my key made for my apartment, and we were outside of like the keysmith, and like two ajumas, like two grandmas, two ajumas walked by, and they were like staring at me. I don't know, like that's another thing, like in Japan and Korea, get ready to be stared at like a lot. In Japan, they would stare and like I would catch them staring at me, and sometimes I would like wave at them or something and like say hello, and they usually get like really shy and go like, oh god, and they like look away. But like in Korea, they just straight on just like they just gawk at you. It's really unnerving and like kind of creepy. But yeah, no, I was used to it at this point. So they're just staring. They're walking by and just stop and just stare at me. And I was just like, okay. And I just continued my conversation with my co-teacher. And then like, I'm not facing them. I'm facing my co-teacher. And my co-teacher like freaks out. And she's just like, oh, no. She's like, aneo. And she's like, no. And I'm like, what's going on? It turns out the ajumas were like reaching for my hair. They're like coming at me, like trying to get at my hair because the permness of it all was just freaking them out. So that's one story. But again, it wasn't out of ill intent. They were just genuinely curious. But it's something that you're gonna have to be on the lookout for. Get ready to be stared at a lot. If you're black and you're going to Japan or Korea, people are gonna stare at you because 9 times out of 10, you're gonna be like the only black person in that area, and you're gonna be like the only black person they've ever seen in real life. So yeah, they're gonna stare at you a lot. As far as racism goes, with being like black in Asia, I myself have never really encountered anything incredibly racist, I would say, in Japan and in Korea. Aside from like the staring and the hair and the skin touching, there wasn't all that much like outright racism. I think, and this is just from my experience, but from my observations in Japan and Korea, a lot of the racism is geared towards other Asian groups. Like in Japan, they really don't like the Koreans or the Chinese or the Southeast Asians, and I found the same in like Korea. Just kind of like the Koreans don't really care for the Japanese all that much, or Southeast Asians all that much. There's a lot of racism, especially towards Southeast Asians, and that is like racism geared towards me personally. I've never experienced. People were always really kind to me. They're really kind to my husband. Like I'm in a interracial relationship. My husband's white, and our whole experience in Japan and Korea, no one treated us horribly. They just saw us as like other. We were just a foreign couple, and no one really was like interracial. No one was really mean to us at all. In Japan, I think there's only one time where I guess I would consider it kind of racist. I was with my roommate, and we were on our bikes, and we're biking to the grocery store, and we passed this guy, and like my roommate, she's like Japanese American, so he probably thought she was like just Japanese because she's Asian, she looks Japanese. So he rides by her on the bike and nothing. Then he sees me and like turned all the way around and was like, "Kuro!" like, which means like black. And he was like dead shocked. Like he almost like hit something on his bike because he kept biking and was just like, "Kuro!" like as he saw me. But that's probably the only time anyone's actually outright been like, "Whoa, you're black!" Like no one's been mean to me at all. But of course, there are horror stories. There are instances, especially in Korea. I know you probably, if you've been looking into working in Korea or Japan, you've probably seen, no blacks, no Southeast Asians need apply, only white females, that kind of thing. And they're not all like that. I worked in a public school in Korea, and it was fine. Everyone was kind, everyone was nice, everyone was great. But there are times, sometimes recruiters won't call you back, or sometimes Hagwons don't want you because for some reason they think that your English isn't as good. That's a lot of the criticisms that like parents would say, like, oh, we want a white female because other people don't speak as well with English, which is ridiculous. But again, that's not all Hagwons, that's not all recruiters. If you want a job in Korea, you can find one. Just know where to look. I would recommend caution into looking into things. Don't get disheartened when you see stuff like that. When I was looking to work in Korea, I actually got really scared because I'd never really encountered that with getting jobs in Japan. I went through 3 job processes in Japan. 2 of them were dispatch companies, and not once was my race ever brought up. So going from Japan to Korea and seeing those horror stories, I was a little nervous, but my recruiter was great. My school was great. So, if you want the job, it's out there for you. Just gotta look and just be cautious when you look for jobs. Don't be scared to come to Asia because you think people are gonna be racist to you. Don't let that stop you from going. In my experience, it was fine. I had a great time in Asia, and I stayed there for 5 years. So yeah, if you want to go to study abroad, or if you want to go to teach in Japan or Korea or China or Thailand or wherever, do it. Don't let your race stop you. People are going to be nice. Some people will be horrible. That's just how it is everywhere. So if you want to, do it.